I'm going to show you how to make a piece of paper today out of plant fiber. This is an example of the sheet we're going to make. It's made completely of cattail fibers, and I'll show you what they look like in a minute too. Let me put this down for a moment and I'll show you some of the equipment that we use. Completely homemade equipment. I think you can easily manufacture these things all by yourself. I've made this little box. It's just two little frames. That's all it is. And in the bottom of the 1-inch frame here, I've put a piece of firm screen wire, and then I have a regular piece of screen that you'd use in your window that I've cut down to this size. So we use these screens in order to make the paper. This box closes. I put one screen in, the light screen, and I put it in on top of the heavier screen, and I lock the box down with a little homemade apparatus that I have for closing the box. That's all it is. It's just an open box with a screen on it, and I'm going to place it in this little tub of water. The tub is about 10 inches by 15 inches, and there's about 2 inches of water in the bottom of it. And I've taken some of that water and I'm going to pour it into an old blender that I've gotten at a resale shop nearby here. I'll now show you these fibers. Earlier I made a video of going out to pick some cattail leaves, and in that video I cut up the leaves and show you how to begin the process of boiling the leaves down into pure cellulose. What I have here is cellulose, and this is what paper is made of. It can come from any plant fiber, but I find that cattail fibers are one of the best. You can actually use the cattail heads as well, and this is an example of cattail heads that have been boiled in the same way. I use a little less time, but I'll show you the boiling process in a separate video. Now I'm going to take some of these cattail fibers right here, and I cut them up into the blender because if I use the long stringy ones straight in the blender, it will the fibers wrap around the spindle, and then it kind of messes up your blender. But if I cut them into about a 1-inch length, they come out just fine. Now I'm going to put the cover on the blender and give it a short spin. The longer you spin it, the smoother your paper will be because you've broken up the fibers more. I'm going to pour this right into the little box. You can see this little box is just lying in sitting there in the water. I'm pouring in, and a little got caught in the bottom, so I'm going to make sure I get all of that out of the blender. Put it back on here and stir it up a little bit with my hand to separate any fibers that might be sticking together, and let them distribute throughout this box. Now I'm going to pick this up and give it a little shake in the water and allow it to come right up perfectly straight out of the water. Once it's on the screen, out of the water, it's already pretty well formed. Now I can show you it's in there, and it's just draining off the excess water. And basically this is your piece of paper. This is the piece of paper that we've made. It's now on a screen. It sticks there by itself. It's continuing to drip off a little bit. Now, over here on this side, I've just got some old pieces of cotton cloth that I've torn up into small cloths, and I'm going to lay this face down on one of those cloths which I have put on top of an old towel. Now, after it's laid on there, I'll take a washcloth, just an old washcloth I had around. I use it over and over again, and blot the water out of the piece of paper that I just made. You can use an artist brayer like this in order to get some of the water out of there and to make the fibers bind together. Or you can use an old rolling pin, or you can just use your hands. I often just use my hands. Then I take off the screen. Here's the screen. It just lifts right off of there. I can put that back over in its place. And what you have here is a piece of paper that's ready to dry. You can take this piece and actually just hang it up somewhere or lay it on your porch where it can get the sun. It'll dry itself, and then you'll have a piece of paper like this. Now, alternately, if you're a little impatient or it's raining outside and the sun is not shining, you can take a second piece of cloth, cover that up. I'm walking over now to the ironing board that I've turned on this iron, and I've got an old piece of cloth over that because this can be a messy process. I mean, it's messier than ironing your regular clothes. You don't want to use the same ironing board for both. And I'm just ironing this. In about 5 minutes it'll be done. And once it is done, once again, this is what you'll have. A beautiful handmade sheet of paper. Feels soft and who knows what art project you'd want to use that for.